Sandy Fazili, whose office is actually right next to mine, runs our personal injury department here at King Law, the president of the local bar association, 28 years experience, and has really seen everything that there is to see in personal injury law. So let's just start with a big picture, Sandy. Where the practice of law is today. You've been doing it for 28 years. Tell us a little about, how it was when you started out and what you see today, and, what's the same and what's different.
All I'm seeing now is how much more expensive it's getting to represent people, to litigate, and to try cases. Dealing with insurance companies is becoming more of a struggle. They seem to want to try to get over on plaintiffs. And oftentimes it takes a lot more than just a kind word to get them where we need to be when we are trying to get a recovery for our clients.
When you talk about getting a recovery for the people who maybe are thinking about calling a lawyer, what do you do on a daily basis? You're going to court and doing things in court, but you're also, when you talk about talking to insurance companies, maybe walk the people through that a little bit. What's that look like for you?
So what we do is we're trying to demonstrate to an insurance company that if they are unreasonable in how they're evaluating our client's case based on the contents of their medical records and their injuries, that we are going to go to court. And we keep communication with these insurance companies on a regular basis, just as much as communicating with our clients to make sure that we are as up to date as we can be on all of the medical treatment that they've had. Oftentimes, a minor injury will develop into a major one as treatment is pursued, because the doctors, quite frankly, don't know right away how bad the injury is underneath. As the clients continue to pursue their treatment, they go for some more specialized tests. Medical records get updated. The injury is obviously then ultimately diagnosed, and we are able to demonstrate that to an insurance company as far as what the doctors are saying. It's not just the client's complaint. It's not ours. It's coming right out of the physician's medical records. So a lot of our responsibility goes to advocating for our client based on the contents of their own medical records.
I tell the clients all the time, nobody believes me. I'm just the lawyer, and everybody knows I'm on your team. But what we have to do is prove it through the medical records, and that's such an important part of, if somebody is injured, it has to be in the records. They have to treat appropriately, and if the medical records don't add up to what you're saying, there's going to be a problem there.
One of the phrases I often use is, God forbid you could have lost a limb in an accident, and if it doesn't say that in the records, even if you're walking around without that limb, you didn't lose it.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't.
Try to explain it as best we can to our clients that regardless of what you think is important, and you think something, this will go away, or this is just an ache, it'll go away. If you don't tell the physicians or the therapists or whomever you're seeing what it is that's bothering you, they're not going to treat it. And if 6 to 9 months down the road, it continues to get worse, and all of a sudden you complain about it, now sometimes it's too late, because the medical records are totally silent to that 6 to 9 months worth of complaint that you should have made, that all of a sudden you make. And now when they start to treat it, an insurance company says, well, nobody talked about that for the last 6 to 9 months. That must have happened yesterday or the day before when they started to complain about it.
So is your recommendation to go to the doctor as soon as possible? Don't wait?
The recommendation is always to seek medical care as soon as you think it's necessary. And when you do seek medical care, don't think that you're just complaining about things that don't exist. The burden on you, if you've been injured in an accident, is to get better. You're not allowed just to sit around and not treat. The law insists that you do seek treatment, and the sooner you do it, the quicker you're going to heal, presumably, the quicker you're going to get back to what you were doing prior to being involved and injured in the accident. And so the recommendation is always seek care early and often, because you do have to get better as soon as you can under the law.
I have another question. Because a lot of people think they have to pay for an injury attorney or personal injury attorney. Is that true?
No. As a matter of fact, most injury attorneys, and if the injury attorney knows their business, then this is how they do it, is the payment for the attorney's fees comes out of the recovery that the attorney gets for their client. They should be paying whatever expenses are related to the case up front. I'm not talking about paying their clients' medical bills, but the bills that go along with requesting medical records, whether from the hospital or their physicians or whomever they see, those all come with costs. They can charge up to 75 cents a page. So the expenses relating to litigation, for depositions and whatnot, all of those things come out of the attorney's pocket up front. If and when there is a recovery for the injury, the lawyer's fee comes out of that, and then they're reimbursed for their expenses as well.
There's some questions along with this Reddit experience that I think a lot of people can relate to, and you could probably clear up for them. Basically, this person says, what are some of the best practices when choosing a personal injury lawyer? Never been in this situation before. Please help. A single mom here. My child and I had a car accident in November of 23. The car was totaled and the other party was at fault. Insurance paid for the initial ER and back and nerve treatments, but ran out pretty quickly. The injuries were persistent, besides the trauma, and unable to find work from home because they were unable to replace the vehicle. The chiropractor and lawyer friend suggested opening a personal injury case. And it looks like the case with the injury insurance company has not yet been closed. So this person wants to know, do I open the personal injury claim with the other party's insurance company before finding a lawyer?
The first thing you should do once you're able to have a conversation with somebody and before you speak to any insurance company is call an attorney. Just get to know what your rights are. Depending on the state where the accident occurs, in New York State, there's a strange phrase they use. It's called no fault. That doesn't mean that the accident wasn't anybody's fault, obviously. That's a description of where or what insurance company is responsible for paying certain benefits, whether it's medical bills, a percentage of your wages, and it depends on how the accident happened. Generally, the no fault benefits come from the vehicle that you were in. If you're a pedestrian, they come from the vehicle that struck you, and those are separate from then your personal injury claim. Mm-hmm. Presuming you're talking about a claim for pain and suffering for your injuries, once you speak with the lawyer, they should be able to guide you on the law and what you have to be able to prove.
So the second question is, do I go for the bigger is better firm or the small local firm to represent me?
I think it's not a question of the size. You want to be able to have a relationship and a conversation with your attorney. Finding that lawyer is probably the most important thing. You have to be able to have a conversation with hopefully multiple people to see who knows the area the best, who's going to spend the time explaining it, and trying to guide you on the roadmap so that you're aware of what's coming. They need to be patient with you. I think oftentimes it's better if you are with a smaller firm. You have a more intimate relationship with the attorney and their staff. They are much more easily reachable. Hopefully they have an office where you are, so you can actually visit their office. You should be able to meet with the attorney on a reasonable basis as needed. And oftentimes it's better that you are in that area or in that city where you can see them versus just trying to deal with somebody by the phone or by some remote communication system.
Yeah, and they're
as the president of the Bar Association, you like lawyers at big firms, you like lawyers at small firms. It's not always about the actual firm. What you said, sometimes you might get better service at a smaller firm, but if you can meet with your lawyer and are comfortable with the lawyer, that's what you're looking for to make that decision.
Absolutely. You want to be able to build a relationship with somebody that you can see, shake hands with, at least look at face-to-face in person once or twice to be able to develop that rapport. Small firm, large firm, it doesn't matter on that if you're able to have that relationship that makes you comfortable and you are confident in the advice that you are being given.
So we settle a lot of cases. All cases, believe it or not, are not $1 million. And I can tell you one of the things that I really respect about Sandy and his practice, the lower value case, maybe a case that is in that $60,000 to $75,000 range. Sandy does the work to get the case to $75,000 as opposed to $60,000, where some of the big shops, they get a settlement, there's an offer, they say good enough, and are you willing to do that extra 3-4 months of work to get the client that extra few bucks that is the difference between a really good outcome and just a mediocre outcome?
It's important that the client's interests are best served. We have to make sure that we can justify our recommendations. There are going to be times when we recommend that they keep fighting and they be patient. It's not easy for the clients sometimes to be patient given what they've been through. That's where the relationship comes in, that you know you're going to get there. They just need to bear with you. Other times, not so much. It's all about that relationship and the patience, but we do what needs to be done as far as advocating for our clients to get them to the finish line.